Yes, the NFL kicks off in 2 days, but it doesn't mean we're done with drafting. We're going to go one last run in the world of drafters where there's 500K up top. Pretty good shot at there being about 25% overlay in this tournament. Of course, 500K is the big thing we're looking for there, but the overlay will help us be a little bit more profitable no matter where we finish in this tournament. And of course, I'm already in a draft room here. We're going to go to this view here. We're going to do a few drafts today. I'm planning on 2, but if the rooms go fast, if things are flowing freely, we can do more here. But either way, we're on the clock here with the number 2 pick. Very influential 102 spot. Bijan Robinson here, CeeDee Lamb here. My CeeDee Lamb fade is on this year. Got under 4% across my entire portfolio. And I will show you guys my exposures at the end of this video as well. But I'm going to go Bijan Robinson here. Happy to get some more down the home stretch. A guy who in a total points format as well, I would think in a good situation for himself. We expect him to have a shot at being RB1 this year because he's being drafted like it. So hopefully he'll have that shot. But good red zone role last year. Maybe not as good as some of the other bell cow backs out there. Or Bijan Robinson, he had for himself. I know it's lower than guys like Saquon and Derrick Henry. You have 3.9 red zone opportunities a game, 0.4 red zone targets, 3.5 red zone rushes last year for Bijan. That's a good enough role. Anything better than 3 is normally enough for me to go. This guy has a dominant opportunity to score touchdowns. Bijan, we know the avoided tackle rate, 18%, pretty good. Plus EPA per rush, though, 0.07 there, 0.09 EPA per target. If I were making a big bet on guys who are going to explode this year, live up to the potential, maybe they haven't in the past, or for Bijan, he's been good, but has he lived up to that hype? I don't know. Would think this is probably the year where he should be able to do that. So if you have been taking Bijan at the 102, I'm happy for you. I've got less in the field of him overall. I have a little bit under 8%, even though I took him whenever he was available. Did not take him over Jamar Chase, though. I always took Jamar Chase at the 101. Shout out Steven here. Glad to see you guys. Glad to see Chunk here. Glad to see all you guys watching. Again, it is NFL week 1 for me. I feel like doing more best ball drafts at this point feels kind of like being back in like high school right after you graduated. It's kind of that vibe for me. But that said, on drafters, there has been that shot at overlay going on. People drafting all weekend long with some of the big stuff, of course, where you're getting multiple entries there for free. I know a lot of you guys were hammering away at that. For me, and I didn't talk about it on stream, I've felt the draft burnout a little bit down the home stretch. So kind of limiting my drafts down here for the most part to maxing out some of the tournaments I had to, getting as many entries as I could and some others. Of course, drafters here on stream showing the work as much as we can. I'm trying to feel enthusiastic for just getting another shot at some more drafts. I do think on drafters, where you have that shot at overlay, a better shot at winning first place as a result, maybe you can get your enthusiasm up if you're feeling like me, feeling the I've drafted enough teams blues. It's not even blues. It's just like, I have to prep for NFL week 1 now. So now there's like real work to do. I don't have the whimsy of best ball where it's like, oh, I'm just going to take this guy. He's going to be great. It's like this guy, I've got all the hopes and dreams for him. Now we got to get in the real life nuts and bolts of paying $4,600 for Mika Egbuka in week 1 at 45% ownership. But some fun teams being built here. Ashton Jency, Derrick Henry team, the youngs and the olds coming together. Would love to get some nice value in this room. Would also love for the room to move quickly today, but we'll see how that goes. I will tell you guys here on stream, I'm going to do a wrap-up call with drafters at some point. I'll be petitioning for 20-second clocks next year. I feel like every site, let's do it. I had a great time drafting the 20-second clocks on Underdog. Speeds up everything. 20-second clocks for all. That is my platform I'm campaigning for in best ball. I want you guys to spend less time drafting. Give me every draft done in about 30 minutes. My life will be roughly 2x improved. I think is how I feel about it. Stephon Diggs playing week 1 with some Twitter news that came through right before the show. So not a surprise given the fact that he's practiced this entire offseason, but kind of still a surprise to me just in my brain for older player tearing ACL later in the season. He's back for week 1. Hopefully not rushing back too soon, but he's been practicing for literally the entire training camp and preseason. So Stephon Diggs has been drafting him. More power to you. What comes back here? Please take the whole clock on this very easy pick. You're going to really feel my joy siphoned away as people take 30 seconds to pick Josh Jacobs. Bijan and Ladd McConkey, probably not the most unique thing in the world here on drafters relative to ADP. That said, I'll take McConkey here. Trey McBride, I think, would have also been a happy click for me at this point. Getting that elite tight end out of the way in a total points format, I think, has a good amount of value. But McConkey here, pick 23, not a guy I've taken a lot of, but I fully recognize a valid PPR play. Just felt like he should have suffered a little bit more price tag-wise when Keenan Allen came in. He never really did. Josh Allen hanging around here, O'Marion Hampton, if we want to go more RB laden. JSN, certainly a solid PPR play. Let's just draft some real PPR bullshit here. JSN, Lad McConkey. JSN at pick 26. Not my fave. Him getting flipped by Garrett Wilson, also not my fave. Garrett Wilson, one of my highest exposed guys this year across every platform. That said, I get him as a PPR play being maybe potentially better than Garrett Wilson. And Garrett Wilson hasn't fallen quite as precipitously here on drafters, but we're still at pick 30. But really, he was going at one point top 20. So the Garrett Wilson slide of late August / early September, I feel like one of the most baffling slides to me based on nothing that really changed. I guess the Jets, nobody sucked off the Jets enough and their offense, but the preseason, they looked okay. Garrett Wilson was out there barely at all. I don't know why Garrett Wilson has fallen across every site. He's going like 40 on DraftKings and Underdog. Here on Drafters, going pick 30 is the same amount of a fall. Shout out David watching live. Shout out to all you guys watching live here. And who haven't watched after the fact as well. It's going to be the last best ball draft stream for me of this pre-NFL season period. Sure, we'll do some playoff best ball coming up here, but now it is DFS time coming up. And actually a late-minute potential wrinkle to my show schedule here that could be coming up. But the plan right now is to do shows Mondays for Monday Night Football, do a similar thing as last year going through Sims. Not sure if I'm going to be doing the Solver this year because the Solver is not super good at affiliate marketing stuff. Basically, I lost my access because they set it up before the season. Most companies will give you 1 year of access to do the thing. So to be able to do those shows, I need to get the access back, but the Solver doesn't have actual partnership managers. It's just the guy who runs it now, I believe, unless there's something I'm not aware of. Basically, for the Solver, I'm not sure if I'll have the access or not. If I don't, I'm just going to do stochastic and maybe some prop betting stuff mixed in. But basically, Mondays, Thursdays for the two Monday night, Thursday night football slates for showdowns. Fridays, main slate. Sundays, main slate in the morning. We'll be doing a video at 9 a.m. is going to be my goal there. We'll also be doing stochastics live before lock on Sunday mornings or Sunday afternoons, I suppose. That'll be at 11:30 to 1 on Sundays. So you'll get double the content from me. You'll be getting about 2.5 hours of content from me on Sundays now. And I'm going to be stressfully building my lineups in between those things. Then what else? Monday nights, I think I'm supposed to be doing live before locks as well for showdowns with Lofty every week. And I might be doing Thursday strategy shows. Not sure about that yet. We'll be doing this on Thursday for the Thursday night football game. You're doing that on Stochastic as well. So that's a very complicated way to say I'll be on this channel Mondays, Thursdays, Fridays, Sundays. Might do a best ball review show. Depends on if a sponsor comes through last minute or not. But that's where the schedule is right now for the channel. But you'll be getting also the premium streams on Fridays as well. After I do my main slate free preview, I'll show you guys my Excel spreadsheet that I give to the premium members here who are joining the channel, which you should do now below. If you want to get in with me on drafters as well, use that promo code SPLASH-RELOAD20 if you're a current customer. Use that promo code SPLASH if you're a new customer. You can still get in 10 drafts, get some free entries with it. So good time to get on drafters here. Of course, I'm showing up on stream to get my final entries in. For you guys as well, get in some drafts on drafters. Even if you are drafted out, it might be worth it to you to get 10 entries in, get one for free alongside that. And at this point, would guess there's not going to be rake in the tournament no matter what, and a shot at there being some overlay as well in the tournament, hence the thumbnail behind me. Cortland Sutton here, Jameson Williams here, two guys going after ADP. Both fun clicks for me. Mika Egbuka, a guy I didn't get much of, but I'd rather take one of the vets who I think is more projectable and doesn't have a Chris Godwin coming in. So I'll go Cortland Sutton, I think. Actually, no. So Sutton's got a better shot of falling. I don't know that he will, but I'll take Jameson Williams. I feel like Cortland Sutton coming back to me would not be a surprise. Jameson Williams coming back to me, I think, would be a bit of a surprise. So I'm going to go that direction for now. The guy does take Sutton. Breece Hall, not the most exciting click at this point, with really a lot of steam building behind Braylon Allen and his role and opportunity there to take over the backfield potentially. But I think Breece Hall, valid PPR play, also a guy, if things maybe not looking good for him for the Jets, maybe gets traded somewhere that needs a running back and then uses him to his quote-unquote full potential. Breece, not a guy I've been too stoked about in his career, especially compared to a lot of the analysts. I've literally argued on stream against Breece Hall with Pat Corain before, back when Pete and I were doing the shows and he was doing such helpful guest booking. Breece Hall since then has fallen off the cliff relatively, but still a guy, negative 0.09 EPA per rush, negative 0.03 EPA per pass, 12.5% avoided tackle rate. Those numbers aren't very good. Neither are the two intended red zone touches the game he got last year for a different Jets offense, but wasn't a great showing of faith there for his red zone role. I would say there's more bad than good for Breece Hall at this point, but getting him at pick 50, I think he's as valid of a click as Alvin Kamara at this stage, and I'm going to take him here. So Bijan Robinson, Breece Hall start, Ladd McConkey, JSN, Jameson Williams, filling out the receiver room so far. Feels like not the most star-studded receiver room in the world, but definitely PPR friendly with Ladd and JSN. And Jameson Williams, I think he'll play well enough on both sites, both platforms rather, whether you're doing half point or full point. Shout out to all you guys watching live. We got C-Money, got Tyler here. Appreciate you guys being here for the, again, the post-high school graduation version of the best ball draft. We'll be doing a couple of drafters drafts here today, though, so make sure to get in with me. And, of course, use that promo code SPLASH on drafters if you're a new sign-up. Splash Reload 20 if you want to draft some teams there and get a 20% deposit match for existing customers. But obviously, new customers, you get the better deal, as always. But do either, because it does support the show to do that. And Draft has been a fine partner this year. I would not have done the volume of best ball drafts. I would not have done the try draftalons if I were working with other sites out there this year. So that was something that was exciting for me to be able to do. So, again, if you have the means and if you have the brain waves left to do some best ball drafts, do 10 drafts on drafters. Take the money. That's what I would try to do. Splash on some EV hunting. Oh, we're EV hunting for sure. I should have put more in on drafters. I do think for me next year, and I say this every year, like, trying to increase the volume with slow drafts to be the goal. And I think doing that in the big tournaments is something I want to do more because this year, I didn't do any big tournaments, including DraftKings Millie Maker, Drafters Main Event, Underdogs BBM. Did not do any slow drafts for those. But slow drafts were such a godsend to be able to like get the volume and I wanted in some of the lower dollar tournaments, in particular, the play action on DraftKings, some of the ones, the sidecar ones on Underdog. Like getting more slow drafts next year would be a priority for mine. And for you guys out there as well that felt like there's more you could do or you want to get more in while still not burning yourself out, I think increasing the slow draft volume before the slow drafts become onerous like they are on DraftKings right now with 10-minute clocks, probably a good move. All right, we got Laporta here, David Montgomery here, RJ Harvey, not my favorite click. I'm going to go let this guy take Harvey if he wants. Sam Laporta, elite tight end, gives the Detroit double that I feel pretty good about in total points format as well. So I'll go Jameson Williams stacked up with Laporta, and hopefully we'll get Jared Goff as part of this build. What is this little sweet boy going to do? Lots of RBs on the table at this point. Feeling good that we got 3 wide receivers already, even though we did take Bijan in round 1 and Breece Hall in round 5. Change your name to Samuel Debowitz to enhance my karma. There. Why is Samuel Debowitz? I mean, I don't know if I think Debo's got good karma this year. Debo Samuel does. I don't know about Debowitz. All right, RJ Harvey comes back. At this point, it feels like the move is just to take him, right? Not the biggest RJ Harvey believer in the world, but at a 75-ish ADP. So you better click than getting more at receiver. Keon Coleman at pick 77 on drafters. Jesus Christ. I'm going to go RJ Harvey here. I feel like Keon Coleman, the ADP has come up solely because the guy in this spot or around the spot usually takes Josh Allen. So then they're going to reach for somebody here like Keon Coleman instead of taking Khalil Shakir. Boy, I did not like a top 75 ADP for Keon Coleman. That's harkens back to Gabe Davis a couple years ago. Without ever showing the upside, dude. At least Gabe Davis went nuts in a playoff game. Keon Coleman, you take him in terms of wish casting. You take him in the hopes that like Josh Allen has to have somebody to throw it to in the red zone, and Keon Coleman's that guy. But my goodness, did not expect that price tag. Not expect to see a top 75 price tag for Keon Coleman today. Must not have been paying enough attention lately. And so a slow draft keeps the negative EV away or some cool shit like that. Yeah, I mean, look, really just comes down to like how much you want to, try to get some action in. For me, like it is an inhibitor where I want the money I'm spending, stuff I'm spending the most money on rather. Like I want to be locked in, want to be at a table. But, unless every site's a 20-second clock next year, and even if it were a 20-second clock, I don't know how I would get in 450 across the 3 big tournaments without like making myself sick of drafting. So slow draft's definitely a way to combat that a little bit more, but we'll see. A lot of what I do next year, both for content and for my own play, comes down to the results I get this year. If I win something really big this year, I'll probably put in a lot more towards best ball and spend an uncomfortable amount of bankroll next year and have to figure out what's the best way to get that action down. If I get smoked this year, I'm going to be just probably playing the big tournaments again. Doing some amount in these in drafters and DraftKings, some amount in Underdog. That's probably be it. But I'm curious. I'm ready for the season to start. I've been ready for a couple weeks now. As many of you are, I'm sure. But I think in particular, when you do the prep work, we do rookies in this channel in January before the big board launches on Underdog and similar pre-draft tournaments on Drafters and DraftKings now. I feel more than ready to just see if I'm right or wrong about shit. That's how it goes. Keon Coleman rise, the Liam effect. First, I don't think Liam can move ADPs that much. I respect Liam's pull, and that's greater than mine. But 1,500 yards and 10 CDs for Keon Coleman. I think Liam's got a better shot at putting up 1,500 yards and 10 TDs. There's not going to be like a true alpha in that room. But in terms of touchdown earning, I think Keon Coleman, if he's good, he can earn a lot of touchdowns. I agree with that. They don't have anybody who can do what he can do in the red zone. Like he's a big-bodied physical guy. Worst case for him is being that contested catch DeAndre Hopkins type. Best case is him being, mini Megatron if he were to really evolve in his game. And he's not as good of an athlete, but he can do similar jump ball stuff. I think Keon Coleman definitely has utility. I just think top 75 ahead of Juwan Jennings, who's back in practice. Fuck yes. Thank God. One of the guys bought the injury dip on. He's actually going to play him and Darnell Mooney. God bless. We've been taking these guys on stream all year, including on drafters, and it was starting to get a little bit worrisome. If he fakes an injury and doesn't play, I'll be mad at Juwan Jennings again. But right now, things looking okay for him. Krosky Merritt coming back here. How much do we just not take receiver at all? I'm taking so much Krosky Merritt lately because I think he's now stabilized from 85 to 100. I could buy that range at this point in my last few drafts a little bit. I'll go the fourth RB in Krosky Merritt. Maybe is the enthusiasm dying a little bit for Krosky Merritt for some people? It seems like that might be the case. Rashid Shaheed gives us a little bit more PPR upside. Again, design targets in the preseason were something that jumped out for Shaheed and for Chris Olave. Two guys who I think in the past, in particular for Olave, guys who you wait for the offense to develop downfield a little bit more. And basically for, how that situation is overall, I think that these guys having Kellen Moore coming in, he's got to do something creative and at least giving guys that are good after the catch is something that, can prop this offense is probably not going to be very good. So Shaheed, I think, is a beneficiary of that. Olave, probably beneficiary of that as well. But that's really how I'm viewing it right now is I think getting these guys more. Kind of tuned out on the Saints a lot because I just didn't believe in the QB situation there. Not a Rattler guy. Didn't think Shuck was good. And, at least if you were starting, it's like, well, you've showed enough in the preseason. We now have a guy that maybe they've reshaped into a guy they want to have based on the draft cap they spent on him. Doesn't seem like that's the case. I still think Shuck starts at some point this year, but he's now not Kurt Warner, coming in as an older player. Not that he's Kurt Warner age, but he's an older college QB coming in, and you would hope that maybe he would inspire a lot of excitement for the offense. Now to be the excitement for the offense is like totally only in PPR, just that they spam some low A dot targets to these guys more, and that I don't think the offense is going to be good no matter what. So the team so far, 4 RBs, 4 wide receivers. Happy to get Shaheed, those wide receiver 4. I think he works for that. Bijan Robinson, Breece Hall, RJ Harvey. We got Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt as well, a little bit after ADP at pick 95. One spot I'm willing to take him. Lad McConkey, JSN, very PPR-friendly start. Jameson Williams, Rashid Shaheed, and Sam Laporta here. Hopefully we'll be able to get Jared Goff, but the QB run is afoot, so that might not be the case. Speaking of the Bills, wideout, shout out Shakir, saved a lot of dogs from being euthanized. I did see that, actually. He sent my my wife the video of that. He saved, 23 dogs being euthanized by paying for them to go to a no-kill shelter. So love to see that for Khalil Shakir. A few of the dogs, very cute puppies as well, which is crazy. Like I feel like at least in New York and the areas I've lived in LA, same thing here in the Philly area. I think puppies usually don't get put down, but Khalil Shakir in Buffalo, apparently all the puppies were going to get killed. So Buffalo, very fun place to party, I guess, if you are a football fan, jumping through tables and shit, drink some Fireball along the way to that process. But a place also that will murder puppies left and right. But I feel like puppies are usually safe. It's like old dogs can't get adopted. Puppies usually can find a home. But shout out Khalil Shakir either way. Anybody who saves a dog. You guys know my stance on the pooches. Proud multi-time rescue dog owner. That's what I am. Shout out to you guys hanging out here. If you are watching live or after the fact, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. If you're watching on Twitter, hit the follow button. All my content this year will be flowing through both YouTube and Twitter. So if you guys want to get value of whatever I'm doing here, whether it's just fading the stuff I'm talking about or hopefully getting some useful data, some useful advice, things like that, And nothing else. I think I'm very good at presenting what the case is on a given slate for the showdown stuff and for the main slate as well. So stay tuned for that. Chris Godwin, got it. I feel like I've got enough of him at this point. Jared Goff, I don't think the guy in the one hole is going to take. So I feel like at this point I can push him around. I want to get some more receiver firepower in. I think Bateman gives us that. Chris Godwin, I do like. He is my highest exposed guy on drafters. I would say somewhat unfortunately. But that said, Bateman, I think a stronger wide receiver 5 for me at this point. I've bought the Godwin dip. We've got enough Godwin dip. Hopefully this guy doesn't take Jared Goff for no reason, and he won't. He's got Bo Nix and Joe Burrow, so I'm not pushing QB too often these days, but I will push it around one guy when he's got 2 QBs and seems like a competent enough drafter. So Jared Goff double stack here. Still live for some other QBs later on, perhaps. Need them to fall, though. I think we'll be okay. Team so far, Jared Goff, Bijan Robinson, Breece Hall, RJ Harvey, and Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. 2 RBs I did not take a lot of. Really, 3 RBs I did not take a lot of this year. And Bijan, I'm technically under the field on, even though it wasn't by choice. Just didn't get enough 102s. But happy to get this room. I think a lot of value at RB for guys relative to their ADPs. Not my favorite players, but we're just taking guys at this stage of things to get some EV. Lad McConkey, JSN, Jamison Williams, Rashid Shaheed, Rashad Bateman, Sam Laporta. Maybe a 20th round Spencer Rattler team. Who knows? Got to figure out what I'm going to do for QB2 and ideally QB3. But the Detroit double here with Jamison, with Jamison Williams, with Laporta. We can add Tesla on if we want. Make a full fade of Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think that makes sense for this team. Blueberry Raz cabbage today for Breck. What? What? Are we talking about smoking weed? Is that what? Okay. I was like, you can't be eating. I don't know about flavored cabbages. That's beyond my knowledge base. Justin Herbert goes here to the kid. He's just loading up on QB. What are you going to do? Thought there was a shot Herbert would come back. I feel like I've seen Herbert fall in enough rooms lately. Not particularly on drafters, but across various platforms. Getting Herbert at 143 would have been nice. I think that's the one thing I guess I could have done differently on that turn would have been taking Goff 119, taking Herbert 122, would have solved my QB issues. But I do generally want to get my wide receiver 5 by this range. I feel like if you're taking wide receiver 5 later than that, it's pretty tough. RB, I think, is the toughest late in drafts right now with how ADPs have shifted. Some guys you might want to click, your Damian Pierces, your Kendra Millers with the bets better, but they're not really like secure bets in any way. Receiver, though, is like, I think, pretty ugly later on in a draft. All right. Ollie Gordon at pick 132. Ollie Gordon, a guy I just got no shares of at any point at all. I know I got Chunk. If he's still in the chat, he loves Ollie Gordon. Ollie Gordon at one point was one of the best plays in college football DFS, the 2 years ago, and then he completely busted last year. For Ollie Gordon, just one of those guys that to me never graded out as being special. And I do think now that Achan's healthy enough, unless he has a setback, was I think the exact quote from the team, but Devon Achan on pace to play week 1. Obviously, he is a guy that's been fragile in the past. Losing Madison, who played really well in camp, it does open up some theoretical opportunity for Ollie Gordon. But the rise for him is now kind of like Bashal Tootin. It's for a role that's not all the way there. At least he only has to beat out one guy or get ahead of one guy with injury, as opposed to Tootin, who has to get ahead of 2. But I am not a buyer of Ollie Gordon. Again, he looked good enough in the preseason, though. I get why people are buying him. It's not one for me. Overall in my portfolio, I'll spoil my Ollie Gordon exposure. Oh, shit. My Ollie Gordon exposure is, in fact, a flat 0. I did not take him once. I thought I took him. I thought I would have clicked the name at least once. So when he goes nuts this year, you'll know who to come to and go, you fucking idiot. You should have taken Ollie Gordon more. That's that. Can you customize projections on Stochastic? No. You just use them. You could do that in whatever tool you're using to optimize lineups off of. You get on the sim, you can, but like you can't edit their projections themselves, to get a different output. All right, we need to solve QB here a little bit better. Bryce Young, I think an easy click for me to make. Try to backdoor some stuff. Though at this point, the backdoor option's getting thin with Coker missing time, Thielen gone. And I think Leggett already went. Yeah, Leggett went the pick before me. So he won't be able to stack up Bryce Young with a receiver other than Coker. Yeah, I don't want to take the New Orleans QB either. Probably could take Darnold. But now we've got the bet on Bryce Young. I guess week 17 correlation doesn't matter that much here. You can take 2 QBs from the same game. But I'm going to fuck whoever's got Calvin Ridley, and I'll take Cam Ward here. Just want to get to 3 QBs, given that QB1 is Jared Goff. I like my Goff stack more. And it's kind of dumb here. I'm absolutely drafting this team more like a pod format team because I took opposite correlation for my QBs, where Bryce Young plays a JSN in week 17. Rashid Shaheed plays Cam Ward in week 17. It's not the way I usually draft on drafters because that week 17 correlation matters significantly less. But that said, 3 QBs I like: Jared Goff, Bryce Young, Cam Ward. The latter two of my highest exposed QBs of the year. Not to spoil, we're going to look at for my exposures in a moment. But yeah, no stacking really for those guys yet. But Sam Darnold, a guy I just don't click a lot because I do worry about him losing that job to Jalen Milroe at the end of the year. If the team is not, in the hunt for a playoff spot actively, I think it makes a lot of sense for the team to sit Sam Darnold as injury guarantees. Take a look what Milroe can do. They already have packages apparently for Milroe for week 1. Not that that's going to matter a lot for how Sam Darnold plays or doesn't play. But Milroe, if he's in for a red zone package, throwing for a touchdown, it's not great. Even if he's just Taysom Hill, it's not great for Darnold. So I like the Bryce Young side for the week 17 correlation more. But Jared Goff, Bryce Young, Cam Ward is the start. Bijan Robinson, Breece Hall, RJ Harvey, nice value on him because people have, I guess, finally accepted the fact he's going to be probably safely playing behind J.K. Dobbins, at least for the very early parts of the year, if not the entire year, for a Broncos team that should be playoff competitive. Ja'Cory Krosky merit as well, a little bit of a dip on him. I think maybe the projection reality setting in a little bit on him as well, as he's fallen in enough rooms I've been in, or actually don't mind clicking him. Ladd McConkey, JSN, Jameson Williams, Rashid Shaheed, Rashad Bateman. I think it's a really solid room of guys that don't feel like wide receiver 1 to me, don't really feel like wide receiver 2. Like, the upside's not huge, I think, for these guys to break out, but people out there love McConkey and JSN. They're the types of guys I just think in my portfolio I'm never crazy about because I don't see them being great out wide. I want my traditional 6'4", 6'5" guy, or a guy who's like incredibly fast, like Tyreek Hill fast. You're going to do that. But even he's had his best success playing out the slot a good amount, at least when Miami was good and he was good a couple of years ago. I just feel like McConkey and JSN moving out wide this year haven't been the most excited for that prospect. But, get PPR site, not getting a lot of these guys, and they were cheap here. I took them here. And same thing for Shaheed, same thing for Bateman. Bateman's got more touchdown equity. I feel like Bateman's probably more of a Jameson Williams type. So spike week guys, hopefully PPR guys, and Sam Laporta, our elite tight end. Ollie Gordon's your highest owned pre-draft and top 5 post-draft. I mean, it's a convinced bet. It's a convinced bet. I just will say for how I view Ollie Gordon, his numbers coming out of college last year, which I think are the most important based on my research, that it's more important to look at what the guy did right before he came out than it is the entire body of work. A negative EPA per rush guy, Ollie Gordon, negative 0.02 EPA per rush. 19 opportunities a game is not bad, including rushes and targets. A little bit better in the pass game. Avoided tackle rate, 22%. He looks a lot like Tank Bigsby to me, is the number. If I'm going to go off the top of my head for guys and how I felt looking at their numbers, I see some Tank Bigsby. Chig here would be a nice tight end to pair with Cam Ward. And I'm going to do that. Feel okay with my 4 RBs. Brian Robinson comes back. I'm willing to scoop him. Jerome Ford, reports are he'll be the bell cow back for week 1. The Marilyn Cabot, who's been like the most famous beat reporter name with the Browns, but also somebody who apparently gets a lot of shit wrong. She reported that Judkins might be with the team this week. I don't get how that makes sense. But Jerome Ford, week 1 bell cow, kind of an appealing click here, to be honest. Even 2 rookies, Harvey and Krosky Merritt. Not sure how they start. Receiver is just dog shit anyway at this point. So I'm going to go Jerome Ford. For Ollie Gordon, I think the big thing to me, and I get how he can get there as a power back, he just doesn't have anywhere near the juice of Devon Achane. And that's the thing to me, is like when you're making a bet for rookie who's got huge avoided tackle rate, huge efficiency, great target earning, whatever in the pass game, like some positive stuff to point to for those things. Then he's going up against Rachaad White. Like that's when I do tend to, want to take the rookie on a little bit more. It's like, okay, this guy's a meaningful improvement potentially. I don't think Ollie Gordon's a meaningful improvement on Devon Achane. His best improvement might be availability, and and that can matter too. But I think if it comes down to like the course of a season, I don't know. I don't see for Ollie Gordon other than his contingent play. But I shouldn't have a stone cold zero though. I'll admit that that's like a crazy big stance for me. This year, one of my best ball processes, I guess, was really not taking guys I didn't believe in. And unfortunately, that was a lot of guys in the class overall. But anyway, team so far, we got 3 QBs, Jared Goff, Bryce Young, Cam Ward. We at least kind of stacked up Cam Ward a little bit. Bijan Robinson, Breece Hall, RJ Harvey, Krosky Merritt, and Jerome Ford. A receiver, Lad McConkey, JSN, Jamison Williams, Rashid Shaheed, Rashad Bateman. 5 guys who are all credible guys. It just doesn't feel like a superstar room enough. Sam Laporta, Chickaconquo, I think are good. Yeah, I think it's just the guys that we took are not my favorite guys. But like we spent enough capital at receiver that I shouldn't feel bad about this room. But I do. Rico Dowdle never came up in ADP either. 170 ADP for him, even though he kind of clinched the third down role based on preseason usage and still has a good contingent role based on Chuba Hubbard's usage last year. I think Rico's been undervalued really every site. And if I were to give a true serum take, give another true serum take after giving one on Pete's video, I think for me, one of the true serum takes would be that these like fractional backs, these partial backs, these guys with somewhat roles, even your Justice Hill types. So I think like I would put Rico Dowdle, Tyjae Spears, who just went before him, obviously injured, going to miss the first month with the IR stint. Jerome Ford, even same thing. Like all these partial rollbacks, I think were undervalued while people were like chasing the next rookie breakout guy, trying to find who's going to be Bucky this year, who's going to be, not to only make guys that I've picked and cape for, but Tyler Algier a couple of years ago, where there are guys that have gone so cheap and ended up being like portfolio defining plays. I think that people really wanted to find those guys, and also I think in particular the discourse and social media is like getting those guys right is your social cachet for a lot of people out there. Really think that just not just the being less rookie minded, but being more mindful of guys like Tyjae, who like last year, again, young guy, so wasn't a rookie, but I was pretty high on him. And I feel like what I saw from him last year, where when Tony Pollard got hurt, took over that entire role in week 17, also throughout the course of the season, was earning more and more and more, where Pollard was like starting as initially a true bell cow, and he probably will this year as well. Tyjae just cut into it. He didn't take the whole workload until Pollard got hurt. But I think he was a guy that people got less excited for in year 2. I think those are the guys that are kind of more appealing to me. Like Rico can spike late. Tyjae can spike late. Even Dameon Pierce, who got taken pretty early here relative to other sites, pick 182. Dameon Pierce has a very credible shot to win that Houston role. Even though, he's burned people before. Malik Washington, really one of few guys who have PPR upside at this point. Taking Joe Mixon on drafters, if you can afford to take it in your room, I think also a perfectly valid click. If he gives you a 0, so what? In a 20-round draft, he's not the part killing you. At pick 192, this is the same thing as Keenan Allen, free agency, except, we have some possibility that Joe Mixon doesn't play this year, but Joe Mixon doesn't play this year, he doesn't get paid, and that is still a key part of the equation as well. Got Amari Cooper, a guy I've just never clicked. Quentin Johnston, a guy I haven't clicked very often with the concussion, and Keenan Allen joining certainly affecting things, but I think there's an upside there still. Probably prefer Alec Pierce. Let's say Coker. Why not? He stacks up with Bryce Young. These guys are all the same clicks at this point to me. I mean, Coker at least has upside when he actually plays. Quentin Johnston, he'll play week 1, but did he lose the role over the course of the offseason? I think it's pretty possible. For Coker and Malik Washington, though, 2 guys who did storm late. Coker, though, a significant quad injury is the report, so he will miss the first 4 weeks. Apparently 4 to 6 is the more likely timeline overall. Again, for Coker, if you just need a receiver late, he gives you some upside. You hope you just survive the first 4 weeks. But I think really buying the dip on a guy like Coker now, probably not a bad thing to do. Like, you shouldn't take him where he was going. People were taking him top 130, 140 in rooms I saw. Leggett should be the one you do that with, I think. But for Coker, if you're still drafting teams, getting a few shares of him late and for free and just making sure you have enough to get through his early slow start, that's inevitably going to come now. If Leggett fails, like if Leggett doesn't hit big in that first 4 to 6 weeks, longer, if Coker can't get back out there, if Leggett doesn't hit, like the team is going to sour on him. So I think a Coker Leggett bet kind of got more interesting by proxy of having this time now. Because you don't have Thielen there. Obviously, he got traded. You have Sanders there. He could take some work away. But either that team craters and is dog shit, and I don't think they are, or these guys kind of spike again in a meaningful way. Let's give the team a read. We got Jared Goff, Bryce Young, Cam Ward as our top 3. Bijan Robinson, Breece Hall, RJ Harvey, Ja'Cory Krosky, Merritt, Jerome Ford is our RB room. Spent a lot of capital at RB with the top 4 picks being in the top 100 overall. So don't feel like I want to invest a lot more, but because we have 2 rookies that I think have been a bit overdrafted, the room feels a little bit skewed to me. Breece Hall and Bijan Robinson, though, should carry most of the water for the team, hopefully. Ladd McConkey, JSN, Jamison Williams, Rashid Shaheed, Rashad Bateman. Started the position a little bit too much after that. But got Malik Washington, Jalen Coker. I think it's a team of guys that work well enough on PPR, and then Bateman and JMO, more spike week guys with touchdown equity. But I like the room enough. It's not star-studded. Definitely has my usual. Doesn't have my usual targets in the same way. This works. Laporta, Chigakonkwo at tight end. Tight end room's good. No complaints about that. And I got correlation. I stacked shit up. I think we're doing all right. Jimmy Horn. We'll see what's there. I think I don't recall anything about his numbers, so they probably didn't stand out in a compelling way for me. Maybe didn't qualify. Hold on. Sorry, I'm trying to find Jimmy Horn Jr. numbers. He's not listed under Jimmy. Oh, he's listed under Jimmy Horn Jr. Oh, God, he was awful. Negative 0.05 EPA per target. He didn't qualify in terms of target earning. So hitting the other categories. I guess he could play slot, which would be a positive. That was how he was used in college. But I would probably take Renfro over Jimmy Horn, I think. But I don't know that I'm going to take Renfro either, for the record. Yeah, I think with the rookie thing, I would get taking Jimmy Horn. The numbers, though, the fact he didn't qualify and target earning and stuff like that, it tends to usually be a thing that I knock down a little bit. Granted, Ladd McConkey didn't qualify in targets, and he would be an outlier that went the other way. But Jimmy Horn doesn't have the other things, draft capital and athletic profile quite as much. So I don't know. Sean Tucker is still a valid click. Guy I've definitely taken the most on drafters, mostly because of the way ADPs align, and there's nobody at RB I want to take late that much at this point. Sean Tucker without a bet on Bucky here. I know I've got some Bijan Bucky teams. We'll take the shot on Sean Tucker being a guy that somehow rises if God forbid, is one of my highest exposed guys. God forbid Bucky somehow goes south. All right, we got 2 more picks coming up. I still like taking some late Olamide Zaccheaus in a room where I just want to add some receiver theoretical firepower in. In terms of routes run, Michael Wilson's going to run more routes, so I think taking him would have been a valid thing to do. It seems like people just got tired of clicking Michael Wilson. There's no positive camp reports for him. But really, for the Cardinals, there's nobody who's going to pass up Michael Wilson. So I think taking him wouldn't have been crazy. That said, for Zaccheaus, at least we saw good preseason usage. There's a reason to kind of be interested in him. I've taken him a little bit in 20-round drafts, not enough to make a dent in the portfolio, but I'll take him here just for funsies. But his dad played in the NFL, a trick I've fallen for before. I mean, look, it works out sometimes, like Surtain would be one. But, like people started drafting Terrell Owens' son because he caught that one touchdown in the preseason. And it's like, that's probably his Make-A-Wish touchdown because of the fact that he's, not going to be, super involved. They might have known he wasn't going to be on the team. They're like, hey, you got this one moment here where you caught a touchdown for your dad's team. And I think people misinterpreted that as like, oh, he's really good and he's going to be the new Terrell Owens. It's like legit, he had an ADP, a drafted ADP on DraftKings that week after it. Brendan Rice is a guy I liked last year because I thought he played well at USC. Obviously, a little bit of the eye test there failing me for sure. The data was pretty good for him. He earned targets at a decent enough clip, was pretty efficient. There's obviously a vacancy in that Chargers room with how Quentin Johnson played. But the draft capital, he never got there. That'd be the one case for me recently where I fell for this guy with this pedigree. He's Jerry Rice's son. How could he be that bad? At least he'll stick on a roster, I think, based on some of the reports. But my point being, I get it. I get taking the sun. I think in basketball, that matters a little bit more. But even then, Bronny, Godfrey played Bronny in DFS last year. He was playing Bronny in every slate when he's not playing minutes. And when he does play minutes, he's not that good. Probably not the move. Though ironically, Bronny actually might play a good amount of minutes this year and might be functionally useful. We'll see. All right, we got 8 receivers, 6 RBs, 2 tight ends, 3 QBs. Everything at least a little bit stacked up. The Detroit stack with Jared Goff's the best part with Jameson Williams and Laporta. Didn't get Tesla. He just went way too early. I also may look at my portfolio in between drafts, depending on how many spots we have to fill on drafters. So good time right now. If you haven't deposited yet, make sure to do it on drafters. Promo code SPLASH for new users. Big thing is that there's going to be a good shot at overlay on there. At the very least, you'll have reduced rake, aka no rake in this tournament for drafters. They have to get in 20,000 entries for there to be any rake at all going back to the house. So it's a big thing to keep in mind here. Reduced rake just means your team takes a higher payout spot in the finals here because of the total points format. So play on drafters, use that promo code SPLASH. If you are reloading on there when it gets some entries in before the tournament closes, use SPLASH Reload 20. That gives you a 20% deposit match for existing customers. But if you're a new customer, use promo code SPLASH. That's the one you want. All right. I mean, Roschon Johnson was a guy I used to happily draft. There was never anything really bad about him that occurred. Curious if there's any news for him. There's been no news. Yeah, no news since August on Roschon Johnson. That said, they cut Travis Homer. Like the roster seems like Roschon Johnson has to play week 1. So Roschon will take him here and hope that he pays off. I also have way too much Roschon Johnson. So I'm hoping something goes right there. Final team here, a 3-7-8-2. Jared Goff, Bryce Young, Cam Ward, Bijan Robinson, Breece Hall, RJ Harvey, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, Jerome Ford, Sean Tucker, and Roschon Johnson. Crazy to me that Roschon Johnson is now like an undrafted pick. I still think he's got to play. Monangai didn't pass him up. Monangai is also hurt. So somebody's got to be the RB2 for Chicago. Wide receiver, Ladd McConkey, fortunately couldn't get Justin Herbert. JSN didn't want to take Sam Darnold because Jalen Milroe might come for that job at some point or just for touchdowns overall. Jameson Williams, Rashid Shaheed, part of the Detroit stack and part of the Tennessee, New Orleans correlation, Rashid Shaheed is. Rashad Bateman, wide receiver 5. Malik Washington, padding out the receiver room a little bit. Jalen Coker bought the dip on him today. Olamide Zaccheaus, just trying to get some points in. Sam Laporta, Chig Okonkwo, a 2 tight end build for me because we just needed a little bit more, I think, at RB and wide receiver with how those rooms shook out. That's how that looks. And let's put in for one more draft on drafters, quite possibly the last draft of 2025 for me. Whole room's got to fill, so you can get in with me in this room right now if you want. 10 spots available for our last drafters draft of the year. If you're a new customer, you actually might be able to make an account and get in there in time. Promo code SPLASH at drafters.com. But at this stage, I would say if you're making a new account, getting 10 drafts in, getting some free entries along the way of that, probably your best move. If you just want to put in one, you can still do that if you want. But I would say 10 entries, you get a deposit match, you use all the money up. What I would try to do for you guys. All right, exposures real fast. So overall exposures, we can talk about quickly here while we wait for this room to fill. So for me, big loss CLV up top, unfortunately. Tyjae Spears is my number 1 guy. 25% of him, as I talked about last year, he was a key driver for my 3 finalist big board teams. In particular, really my entire portfolio was great, but those were the ones where he mattered the most. But Tyjae last year ending up being a guy when Tony Pollard got banged up. He was a guy ended up with about 17-point projections from all the DFS sites out there. Key chalk in DFS. These are the guys I wanted more of this year. So Tyjae, better avoided tackle rate, better efficiency than Tony Pollard. I think he would have ended up beating out Tony Pollard if not for the money involved and now his IR stint. But high ankle sprain, he got it early enough. He'll be back in at some point. I can still live with the Tajay bet, even though it's absolutely a massive loss of CLV for my portfolio. Bucky Irving, my number 2 guy. You guys know the case for him. Loved him as a rookie last year. One of very few people in the industry to like cape for him in a major way. Put my reputation on the line for him. He paid off. So I'm going back there again. The underlying numbers look good enough as well, with him looking to me like a mini Jahmyr Gibbs overall. Bucky last year, 21.4% avoided tackle rate, positive EPA per rush at 0.07, positive EPA per target at 0.23, got himself 2.7 red zone opportunities a game, and that's with Rachaad White ruining that workload for more than half the year. So for Bucky, worry about the injuries at his size. I worry about the breakaway touchdowns a little bit because he doesn't have that game-breaking speed. But Bucky, big believer in him, and he is highly exposed for me everywhere. Though, unfortunately, the least on drafters, where I think he's probably, more valid, I guess, or equally valid. Deebo Samuel, my number 3 guy, as I've said enough times here. If I were to place a bet on anything this year in terms of like, season-long scoring bets, Deebo Samuel plus 10 touchdowns. If you can get the, increased laddered odds on that, I would do it. Deebo, to me, think benefits in the biggest way from being on this offense, having Jaden Daniels, also a lot of touchdowns last year. They went Terry McLaurin's way. I think they go Deebo's way this year. So you can see I've got a lot of him on Underdog, 22% there. A little bit less on drafters. I just don't think the ADP is aligned for me a bunch, but a ton on DraftKings as well, more than 2x a field. Deebo, big stand for me. Jatavian Sanders at number 4, as we have 6 spots left on drafters, guys. So I'll keep going through my exposures, but if you want to get it on drafters, you still can. Jatavian Sanders. So I think really this ended up being one of the biggest wins for me is now we have 4 weeks of no Coker. Sanders had some good camp hype, showed not enough in the preseason games, so his ADP never really jumped up in a meaningful way, even compared to Chikakonkwo, guys like that. That said, he was coming for free for me in most drafts, usually in 3 tight end rooms. I feel like he's still not a 2 tight end guy, but I think he's got the shot to break out in year 2 and really more than most tight ends who aren't the really good ones like Brock Bowers. So for Jatavian Sanders, he ended up being a really big bet, in particular the lower dollar tournaments, a lot of slow drafts. I would end up with Jatavian. But I'm happy with my exposure here. I've got a lot of him in BBM as well. I think he ended up being a nice bet. Darnell Mooney, unfortunately, took him early when the ADP was higher before his shoulder injury. Took him after the shoulder as well. Bought the dip whenever I could. Big believer in Darnell Mooney. I know Hayden Winks feels similarly as well. So at least one sharp person, if you don't believe me, you can go with Darnell Mooney. And Hayden Winks' side of things better. Point being for Darnell Mooney, big fan of him. Think that he's going to be a guy that benefits a lot from Drake London having a tremendous outlier year. So Mooney, my number 5 overall guy. Besides him, Rashad Bateman, kind of a similar play, wide receiver 4 or 5. Think he had great touchdown usage last year. Maybe some of that upside goes away because of Hopkins being in the mix. But to me, Bateman, I think, flashed in the way where I finally thought I was seeing the guy I thought we'd get in the beginning of his career. But a 0.55 EPA per target for Bateman, only 18% target per out run. That part sucks. 0.5 red zone targets a game, not bad. 0.9 deep targets a game, not bad. I think with what he showed, a new contract as well. I'm hoping he's the best of his career coming up. And the tournament filled here, or the room filled rather, on drafters. So we'll go over here in a moment. But final portfolio stuff here. Zach Ertz, Juwan Jennings, bought the dip on Jennings. Eckler, I've made the bet the entire offseason. Was taking him and Brian Robinson a lot. Unfortunately, the Robinson bet is now totally different. Feels a lot like Jahan Dotson to be did last year. But Eckler, late ADP riser, got good CLV on that. Keenan Allen took him a lot. Good CLV on that. Less so when he rose a bunch. Chris Godwin, lost CLV on him for sure, especially on drafters. And Josh Palmer, a guy I took a lot cheaper. He is now going much earlier. I don't know. We'll take one more look at my position by position stuff at the end, but let's get back to this draft. CeeDee Lamb here. I don't want to build a team that's not fun for me for this last one. I'm going to take only guys I love on this team. So Jahmyr Gibbs, we're not buying ADP values here. We're taking guys I feel really good about. And Jahmyr Gibbs, he's on the thumbnail. Fuck yeah. Touch him. Ooh. That actually, I'm going to zoom in real fast. So this is Canva does a thing called image upscale. So you have to use it for most of the player headshots because the image is a little bit grainy. But like Jahmyr Gibbs got smoothed out in an AI way where like he's like beautiful. Like he looks like a beautiful Pocahontas is here. But there you also learned how the sausage is made. I use Canva for my thumbnails and I have to AI upgrade the images so they look a little bit better. But Jahmyr Gibbs is on the thumbnail. We get him here. Hooray. Kyle asking, he probably already left because he's probably just spamming us across YouTube chats everywhere. I have Josh Allen. Should I flex Keon Coleman and Shakir? Should I use Ollie Gordon? No. Don't use Ollie Gordon for anything. Jacoby Myers is fine. I would not flex both those guys, boy. What is the deal? I'm not the guy. I mean, you can ask me these questions. I am not the guy. People's cake and ice cream, get your guys. That's true. I'm intermittent fasting. I've not eaten yet today. I'm starving for my guys. I want my guys to fill my belly. That's what I'm looking for here. Speaking of, I should drink some water. Yeah, I assume that guy Kyle is asking about season long. There, oh, you were watching Shadow Kyle. There we season long, you should always be playing for projection. So to give you an actual answer, always play for projection, but yeah, don't do a double stack of guys that project worse than Jacoby Myers. Both guys significantly, individually rather, and say get traded mid-game. You're fine to play Jacoby Myers. But I appreciate you, Kyle. I know I'm not a season-long redraft guy, but you know, I don't have to pretend to be. that's my dream. My audio's messed up right now. Let me see. I don't have to pretend to be. Oh. Huh. Yeah, you guys are right. Let me see. What's the... I don't know. I would fix this. Audio's coming through the mic, right? Doesn't say my connection's splotchy. Here, let me try to open a new tab. Enter studio. Hey, all right, let's see if it works better. I don't know if it does. Let me know. I don't know why the audio would get weird now. Let me hit this too. Make sure it's connected right. It's been bones I touched Gibbs' face. Well, that's odd. I don't know why that would be correlated in any way. Let me know if it sounds... Oh, okay. Well, Bucky Irving came back. I'm gonna listen. All right. No, it does still sound weird. What the fuck? Why would it do that midstream? Okay. Okay. I unplugged and plugged it back in. Here, let me listen back on my phone. Well, I made a pick. This is okay. Okay. I unplugged and plugged it. No, it's still doing it. It's got to be StreamYard. Because nothing else here is fucked up for me. I'm going to take Josh Allen here, by the way. Sorry, guys. It has to be a StreamYard thing. We just got to get through this draft. What the fuck? Let me go here. If I go back here. Hey, it's me. Full screen again. Now back here. No, I'm not having a stroke. I wish this would have happened before this one. All right, I'm gonna replug again. I don't know, guys. I think this one might plug into the back. All right, hold on 1 second here. I'm gonna put up this graphic. I don't see how touching the screen would affect me. Would have messed the mic in any way here. Everything's pretty tight. That's what she said. Ugh. You get to see me See my nether regions climbing back in. All right, I don't know, guys. Any better? Maybe overheating. My laptop's not overheating. I don't think. Cool as a cucumber. Yeah, it has to. Fuck me. Well, guys, we got 16 more rounds. I can't hear me, so maybe that'll help out. That I don't have to actually. It doesn't affect me in any way, really. But I apologize to you guys. This is going to be the case. I mean, I hear it cutting out. I do hear it cutting out. It's weird. It sounds like so. This is fine, and it's not giving me like the it's laggy right now thing. Whatever. You guys saw my exposures. I live up to my obligations here. Use promo code Splash at Drafters so I can make my audio work better. My audio only works well when you guys spend money and % off. That's the only way the audio is going to come back. All right. Need some receivers here. Cortland Sutton is a receiver. That easy. Here's my speed test. I don't look at my IP. 30, wow, did that get faster? That's really fast. I don't know, man. I think that's it. Yeah, that was the last stochastic stream that I did because they do not have a stochastic though this year. As I mentioned earlier, Sunday live before lock with Derek Lindquist at 11:30. I'll be on that. I'll also be on Monday live for locks with Laffy for the showdowns and possibly Thursday strategy shows for that showdown. But I'm going to do that for 1 week. I don't know if that's going to be long term. There we go. Yeah, it's got to be StreamYard. Again, you saw my speed. All right, Jameson Williams here, Calvin Ridley here. Ridley feels like the bigger swing of a bet. So I'm going to do that. I like JMO, and I certainly have no issue with JMO having a higher ADP than Calvin Ridley. But I think for this team here that needs to make it up a little bit at receiver, gotten 2 number 1 receivers for not as good teams, but Gibbs and Bucky, that is a fun start. Even though it's an RB piggy start, Josh Allen on top of it, fucking running back piggy / the most basic pitch drafting up top without taking a receiver the first 3 rounds. But I could live with these guys. Sutton and Ridley, I think we're talking about weekly 15-point projections. So not that Jamar Chase, that Jefferson area, but they don't have to be when I have Gibbs and Bucky. That's how I feel about that. And I apologize for the audio, but I don't know. I've done everything I could at this point. The other thing I can do is like test my audio now. Check. Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Oh wait, no, it didn't record. Check 1 2. Recording a message. We're testing audio. Testing. I can't show you guys the screen. Testing. Okay, let's play it. See? It's clean. So that was, if you guys heard that being choppy, I assume the audio came through. It wasn't choppy on my end. So StreamYard has ruined us. StreamYard, I pay so much for StreamYard too. StreamYard's gone up since I started. I feel like that's like a legit cost of doing business. I feel like $50 a month. It shouldn't make my audio sound like I'm having a stroke. I'll go out on that ledge. I'll say that. Blame Canada. Blame StreamYard. Blame Kyle Broflovski's mom. Blame all the things from South Park in the early 2000s that people who are of a young age now don't even know. Hate to see it. South Park has been around since I was in fucking middle school. Which dating me for sure, but that's how I feel. I feel like South Park is really the main takeaway. All right, pick 70 coming up here. I see some tasty treats I could take. But I'm waiting for next year does. Goes Judy here. I wouldn't want to take Di Marino. Slurping up that Di Marino. We're slurping it up. South Park Crocs are coming out soon. Oh, wow, good for them. I feel like Crocs is a lot of cross-branded things. And there's like, I didn't know there was that Crocs were like Funko Pops. There's all sorts of brands affiliated with it. I mean, Keon Coleman here at pick 75. Who says no? Am I right, guys? What a... Do I really want Keon Coleman? I don't see how Jacoby Myers is in a better click than Keon Coleman. Really have a hard time. I know Keon Coleman correlates with Josh Allen. I just think unless Keon Coleman is a brand new guy, and I haven't met the other guy before, I don't think Jacoby Myers is going to be less than 4 fantasy points better week to week than Keon Coleman. Spikes, whatever. But like we're talking total points format here. I think Myers is the better click. So Josh Allen, Jahmyr Gibbs, Bucky Irving, Cortland Sutton, Calvin Ridley, Deebo Samuel, Jacoby Myers. I mean, look, I like Sutton, I like Ridley, I like Deebo. I don't really like Myers, but I think for this team, he's functional. If I were to take a guy I liked there, I probably could have gone Juwan Jennings. Lofty ADP. So we go Jacoby Myers. Blame Ollie Gordon. Ollie Gordon and StreamYard, I think, are really the two key culprits. Ollie Gordon very slowly ran into the audio wires, and now they don't work. If you missed it here, my audio is StreamYard's fault. Though it did happen coincidentally the moment I went full screen and touched the TV behind me, touched Jahmyr Gibbs' face on the thumbnail. I know it's complicated, but stay with me if you can. Do not say chance. Getting some decent work this year for NFL. Can't risk losing it by misspeaking on player names. That's true. I got to be extra cautious. I can't even think of another name that would fit that criteria, but that was a good joke by Nolan. There's the 5-finger touch of death I gave to my audio and Jahmyr Gibbs' face. So stupid, though. I've had so many pay for it to be free, and also I could do like actual production, I guess. But everybody uses StreamYard now, so they've kind of got us by the balls. Gabe Davis just signed with the Bills. Is that official? That's hilarious. You gotta slurp the Gabe Daverino. Oh, I'm gonna take Gabe Davis to this draft. I'm gonna do. That's how I'm gonna cap ball. Have you drafted enough teams now for yourself? Well, try drafting Gabe Davis to spice up your love life. That's what I'll be doing. Shout out to our Gabe Davis. Gabe Davis is usually in the chat, but he's not today, I guess, because he's busy brokering contracts. Makes you sound like RFK. The brain. He doesn't talk like he's a used car salesman or Crazy Eddie, for those of you that will know that dated reference. Khalil Shakir went early, so we're just not going to correlate with Josh Allen. You know what I say? That's I think we'll have opportunity to grab receiver coming up. I'll make the Denver correlation here with J.K. Dobbins. Took R.J. Harvey last draft. Really don't love R.J. Harvey. Dobbins, I think, to me, the click that is he's a good enough player. I mean, he's been good every time he's been able to be healthy. So don't worry about that here. We assume everybody's going to be healthy and not going to cost me money. And oftentimes, it doesn't work out that way. Fourth RB? Cooper Kupp, wide receiver 5, also not crazy. Really don't love Cooper Kupp. Like, I'm just going to go up and get Darnell Mooney. I think that's it, right? Or get Darnell Mooney. Fuck it. I like him. I'm taking guys I like. If my audio can't work, I'm going to keep taking guys I like. Kobe Myers threw it off here. And frankly, Dobbins, I don't like that much, but he's fine. Josh Allen, Jahmyr Gibbs, Bucky Irving, J.K. Dobbins team overall. Was starting with Josh Allen bright and early here, and Jahmyr Gibbs and Bucky Irving in the first 3. Calvin Ridley, Deebo Samuel, Jacoby Myers, Darnell Mooney. Team is totally credible. I don't think it's like super fun or anything. I think the Gibbs Bucky start is fun. And that's the tough part. When you take Josh Allen on top of that, it gets inherently less fun as you go down the line, I think. But man, that's a fun RB room. Gibbs and Bucky. I made a Madden franchise this year at the new. I bought the new Madden. Haven't for a couple of years, at least for last year. I immediately made a team where Jaden's my QB, did a fantasy draft. Jaden's my QB, much for She Rice, my wide receiver 2, but he made sense relative to the fantasy draft I did in Madden. So I liked how that team is, but Bucky Irving, one of my guys, fully one of my guys. So happy to get a Gibbs Bucky combo here. Let's see. Anthony Richardson's healthy, cost me money. Well, yeah, it's a tough one. The good news is Daniel Jones is made of paper, so that's that. A-Rich to convert to running back. He would still be a viable QB. It's like they just botched his development entirely, is how I feel about it. Like, the way that they schemed him up year 1 was stupid. He also got hurt. Then last year, the way they kind of were trying to keep him mostly in the pocket, unless it was a design run, was also kind of that could actually develop. But the thing is, like, for a player like him, he just needs to be out there, and you need to be willing to lose. And Steichen doesn't want to lose. They didn't hire him to lose. Ballard doesn't want to lose. He doesn't want to lose his job in the front office, even though I don't know that he would, because he seems like he's as insulated as anybody, given really hasn't built great teams, but he continues to be there. Like, once I saw how he played year 1, I was out in year 2 because I thought he was a great bet coming in year 1. I think he still was. And there's a world, certainly if you're in the peacemaker multi-dimensions, you can walk through a bunch of doors, and there's another door where I bet AR is killing it. But how they've handled his development, I think it's so bad. So I don't think it's his fault, but he also sucked. So I guess I should tell myself that sometimes, I guess. The bad injury luck for sure for him, though. I do wonder if he played that entire rookie year, how it would have gone. Because it just seemed like it was different play calling from that rookie year, even compared to year 2. And I don't really get why. I mean, I get why, because he sucked. But, you know, and was really inaccurate. We're going to round out this RB room a little bit more with Austin Eckler. I think the price is right for him right now at pick 118, and he is a guy I like and I find to be fun enough. So I'm going to go his way. Need to think about QB2 a little bit here. Though it does feel like I should be able to wait on it until the next picks. All right. Oh, Ollie Gordon at 121. I won't get Ollie Gordon again. You can't get this guy. But really, though, again, same in the NFL, like, at least based on the conference championship last year. Eckler or Ollie Gordon. I don't know, guys. I'd rather go Eckler. I know he's got a torrid history of injuries. I understand that as a concept. My God. Colston Loveland, not a guy I love, but I think he wouldn't be a bad click enough times. If there is a Bucky Irving in this class, I think it's Cam Scatterbu. A back in front of him who's not anything special. A guy who missed a ton of tackles, was very efficient in college, had a ton of volume as well. Decent run out for Scadaboo. Not as pure as Bucky's was last year, where Bucky, based on the moment they got to training camp, Bucky was in the mix with the first team. Scadaboo was in the mix, got hurt, came back in the mix again. I think he will win the role. I mean, like, if I had to make the bet, and this is going to be a bet, it's not going to be popular with a lot of people, I would think Cam Scadaboo outscores the 3 rookies that just went around him. If I had to make the bet, and that includes Tyrone Tracy, him having overcome Tyrone Tracy, I think he outscores Jaden Blue, Ollie Gordon, Bashal Tootin. Who else is going to go in this range? Dylan Sampson. I think he outscores Dylan Sampson. Yeah, I don't know. I think Cam Scadaboo is the best rookie going in this range. Really the main point. Is the audio still stupid, guys? Is that still going on? Needs a slide to go out of bounds, but he'll get more reps. AR, that is, when they realize how bad Danny Dimes is. I don't know that a guy like Shane Steichen would pull the plug on Daniel Jones unless the season's over. As long as they're around 500, Daniel Jones will keep starting, would be my guess. Unless he has like a catastrophic kind of games, like the 4 turnover kind of game, then maybe that or injury. Obviously, also a very plausible out to get AR back out there. But I think those are your more likely outs than them going like, oh, this guy's not the guy. Because he's going to be more accurate than AR was at any point in his career. As like a baseline, I mentioned this really early in the offseason, and part of why I thought Daniel Jones was going to win the job. He was 15% more accurate than AR was, and not 15% more where he's like, 0.15 times ARs or whatever. Like, yeah, that's right. On top of it, he was like 15 percentage points better than Richardson. That's a chasm. That's the difference between bottom of the league versus at least league average, a little bit better than league average. Accuracy shows in training camp. I mean, that was part of the thing with Drake May last year, why he didn't start. And I warned about that last year. May got out there. He gave people enough to have hope for, so I get it. But like Drake May was really inaccurate in college. He hasn't shown a ton of accuracy in the pros. I think it's moving in the right direction. And I would think with Mike Vrabel and Josh McDaniel this year that they're going to keep him on the better side of accuracy. They're going to scheme accuracy for him that isn't maybe there naturally. But accuracy for a QB is always a danger zone. Audio much better? Okay, well, good. So again, it wasn't my fault, guys. I wasn't in the recording, the sound check on the audio app I use. I knew it wasn't me. It seemed like it was me because of me going full screen and touching Jahmyr Gibbs' face, but it wasn't. And I learned that my speed test, this internet speed we're getting here from Fios, going crazy. We're going crazy on speed in this house. Michael Penix here. He's the guy I wanted here as QB2. Want to make sure to get him. Wouldn't be mad if Kyle Pitts came back, but he does not. That's sad. But in my brain, I've had a pick in mind for 147 anyway. And it was not Kyle Pitts. Come on. Come on. Make this pick. There we go. Goddard. Guy took 2 tight ends. Good for him. Cam Ward, 3 QBs. Total points format. I think it works. So Josh Allen, Michael Penix, Cam Ward, they're all stacked up. Besides Josh Allen, who is just going to give us easy points every week. No problem. At RB, Jahmyr Gibbs, Bucky Irving, crazy good top 2. Dobbins, Eckler, Scadaboo behind the top 2. An embarrassment of riches at RB. Probably should have spent a little bit more capital at receiver. But I didn't. So we got 5 receivers that are good, but maybe could have been a little bit better with at least one more on top. Cortland Sutton, Calvin Ridley, Deebo Samuel, Jacoby Myers, Darnell Mooney. I mean, look, I'll be honest with you guys. I feel like the team is done. I'm just going to take 8 tight ends, call it a day. I like the wide receiver room. We've got nobody who's banged up right now. Like the RB room up top is really good. And then Dobbins, Eckler, Scadaboo, that's like a functional part of a 0 RB room, in my opinion. QB with Allen, Penix, and Ward. We've got 2 pocket passers. If they go nuts with the receivers I have, they probably can have a shot at beating out Josh Allen in a given week. So I like this team. Even without Ollie Gordon, I think the team works. I know a lot of people out there think you can't have a good team without Ollie Gordon at pick 120. The new Ja'Cory Krosky merit, Ollie Gordon. But I'm going to do it. Gotta call those guys who were throwing stuff at the WNBA games to throw stuff at Daniel Jones. I mean, the dildo guys are apparently, didn't they do something at a baseball game or something recently too? I think they're trying to branch out. So they just don't look like misogynists throwing dildos at innocent women just trying to earn a living. Can you imagine any other job that women are involved and you just show up there and throw bright green dildos at them? You can't do that. That's not in 2025. You can. Even in 2025 with the things that are going on, you can't throw dildos at women. Splash Play, the only channel brave enough to come out and say, guys, don't throw dildos, especially colorful ones, but any of them. Well, I guess especially flesh-colored ones. That's probably the most inappropriate. You don't throw dildos at Daniel Jones. Blow him kisses. Go. That's not how you blow. I don't know why I did that. You would think I've never blown a kiss in my life without it. It would be like this. I think I was just like embarrassed. It'd be like Sonya Blade style. Do that. Actually, if you blew a Sonya Blade Mortal Kombat kiss at Daniel Jones, that would work. That would do the job you're looking for. Giant pinstripe dildos. Yeah. Like Hulk dildos. The equivalent of a 6'7" man. You got to throw a dildo. You can't throw your average dildo at Aaron Judge. You got to throw one that's going to be ribbed for his pleasure. Big man, big asshole. They charge and legalize $10 for dildo thrown. The pay gap would evaporate. They're going to get paid. The women are going to get paid no matter what because the ratings are good now. They just haven't figured out how to monetize the league itself enough. But the franchise values have gone up a lot. So, and this has been our Splash Play WNBA talk. It's what you guys have all been waiting for. All right. We got some picks coming up here. We could do some stuff. We could pick some guys. All right, so with this team here, again, I feel like we've got early season production. I think Brandon Ayuk makes sense for this team. We need more wide receiver firepower. He was a guy that was going top 100 before people knew that he was going to miss an extended period of time. So we'll get Brandon Ayuk here. Wide receiver 6. It's basically like getting 6 receivers in the top 100 with Brandon Ayuk. Granted, in total points format, if you need him to play, he is an absolute albatross. Like he is a burden because he's going to miss 5 weeks, 10 weeks, whatever. For this team, though, where we got 5 starters of decent credulity, right? That's a word. Credulity and credibility basically mean the same thing. Shout out Jack, Spags, actually the GOAT. Everyone else wrestling this week. Yeah, and I'm doing professional DFS content too. I don't, granted, not going to be doing a YouTube NFL stream. I think Pete's got the most credible case. They're moving on to DFS. They can't hang one more day. They graduated high school. They don't want to go back to the campus. Me, I'm here in my varsity jacket, and I'm coming right back to campus drafting some more best ball teams. As they were like, "What? Didn't this guy leave?" And I go, "No, I didn't leave." Chikakonkwo, first tight end off the board here. We're going to draft a lot of tight ends today, and he's going to be one of them. So Chikakonkwo stacked up with Cam Ward. We got the double stack now. Didn't get Kyle Pitts. Didn't get Dalton Kincaid. Really no correlation with Josh Allen at all. But the team so far, Josh Allen, Michael Penix, Cam Ward. Cool 3 QB room to me. Jahmyr Gibbs, Bucky Irving, J.K. Dobbins, Eckler, Scadaboo. Feel like the Gibbs and Bucky part obviously has to carry a lot of the water, but I actually like this RB room a good amount. I think I got guys I believe in a good amount relative to their ADPs. Wide receiver, Cortland Sutton, Calvin Ridley, Deebo Samuel, Jacoby Myers, Darnell Mooney, and then Brandon Ayuk here to round out the room a little bit more and give us some upside when we get to the back half of the season, hopefully. Tight end Chikakonkwo, as you might imagine, based on watching me draft. I don't know how many teams has been on stream this year. It has to be it has to be at least 80 because of my deal with drafters. So I think it's probably, I've done at least 100 stream drafts here. I'd say probably more like 150. Actually might be light. Teams I draft, late tight end has been on the menu a lot for me this year. It's on the menu again in this room 100%. So we're going to have to get some fun late tight ends. And Shavian Sanders, one of those guys for sure. Juwan Johnson, Theo Johnson. If your name's Johnson, I'll draft you at tight end. Got green check mark with the stochastic avatar. No Stochastic Best Balls draft for me today, but I will be on Stochastic this Thursday morning doing their strategy show for the Thursday Night Football opener. So that'll be fun. Be extra prepared. Then the plan is to stick with the noon start time. So plan is on noon to do our first showdown video for the year. Friday, I'm going to do just the main slate video, maybe a quick look at the Friday football game. But I will be on live before lock on Stochastic on Friday for that game as well. So you'll be getting some shit free from NFL coming up, guys. You got enough. No props column this year at Fantasy Points, which I'm okay with. Still love their site. They do a good job, but it's not happening. I don't know what else to say. I went out so hot with that column too. I was like plus 10 units of the Super Bowl. Like it was perfect because it got me into the black for the year. But I got a DeAndre Hopkins touchdown right. I got a lot of shit right in that Super Bowl column. Went out strong, if nothing else. Speaking of Stochastic, that DK Best Ball Millie definitely looking like it'll have some overlay. Won't have overlay. It'll have reduced rake. They've already hit their price nut because that tournament's 90% filled. So, let me do the math real fast. Picks coming up here on Drafters. The Best Ball Millie, 820,000 entries. 820 times 20. 16.4 million. The prize pool's 15. So your DK, even if they don't fill, DK, you're getting reduced rake at best. You're not getting actual overlay. You would still get wild card spots if it doesn't fill. But you're not taking money away from DraftKings. Joe Mixon here hanging around. Credible RB6 for this team for sure. Fuck it. I think that's fine. Joe Mixon at pick 190. Ceremonial Joe Mixon after he's been on way too many of my teams. And now everybody's scared that he won't play this year. I still think he plays. He doesn't get paid money if he doesn't play. But this team doesn't really need him. I didn't need an RB6, but I'll take him. Your wild card spots would happen if it doesn't fill. But overlay is the best thing. So like Drafters, if Drafters doesn't put in another 25,000 entries, they literally have to pay money towards a tournament. So the definition of overlay is basically if the entries that are in don't make as much as the guaranteed prize pool, then there's overlay and the company has to put in the difference. So for anybody who's not familiar, not singling anybody out, but like if you're not familiar, that's the concept. Harold Fannin hanging around. Jatavian Sanders, I feel like a better projection. But I'm going to go Fannin here. The fact that he's in the mix with the first team already, I think a positive sign. Likely, I'd be happy to take. Sanders, I'd be happy to take. But Fannin, I think, is a click I want to make more of down the home stretch, and I have done that. Didn't get a lot of Fannin overall, though. Fannin, I loved pre-draft. Just didn't think he was going to get on the field early. Now he's going to get on the field early. I got to 8.6% Fannin on DraftKings, 0% on Drafters heading into today, and 3.5% on Underdog. So that's not awful. It's not awful. So people don't fill it. It's less pods. You'd have less pods initially, and then that means that there would be more spots available that come up after that. So like basically then all the third place teams that have the highest totals would then get into a new playoff pod because they don't have enough teams to fill the amount of pods you need in week 15 is basically how that works. For drafters, though, it's not the same thing. It basically is just that if there's overlay or if the tournament doesn't fill, you just vault up by the amount of spots that didn't fill. Underdog emailing about prediction market stuff. Oh, boy. These prediction market shits. So stupid. Huge, I get it. But God, prediction markets being the thing that takes over sports betting feels silly to me. If you're not familiar with prediction markets, by the way, Kalshi is one of them. What's the other big ones? And they're different from sweepstakes casinos, which do a different function of also kind of like trying to evade legal sports betting rules and stuff like that. But The Underdog getting the prediction games. Still waiting for the first Underdog promo of the summer. They were saying it was going to be hot and heavy. A lot of promos. I think they gave out some promos for like tournaments that aren't going to fill, I think was what they did. I guess they did something, I guess. Have they filled BBM yet? I did my entries over the weekend, my last couple. BBM at 95% filled. Gotta think they're going to get it. I mean, earlier in the year, one of my bolder predictions that I thought BBM would have a shot of not filling, I kind of backed down off of that because it felt like the rates were totally where they had to be. But it does seem like it's slowing down enough. And everybody who I'm aware of has maxed. I saw shady advice in some rooms when I was doing my final drafts over Labor Day weekend. So maybe there's like the 150 maxers who were waiting for as much edge as possible, haven't maxed. I don't know. Receiver here, really nothing too fun. Dontavian Wicks, though, should be getting drafted on drafters. That's an easy click for me. Wicks is somebody that really I've talked about a lot on stream, but I don't know it's ever been clear how pronounced of a bet he was for me. I've got 2x the field on Wicks because he was free in rooms, and I thought that he was too good last year with the target earning. With Jaden Reed's injury, things are looking pretty good for Wicks. I think he might get Golden out of the slot, Wicks out wide. At least in 3 wide receiver sets, Dobbs will play ahead of Wicks still. Wicks can play on the slot too. There might be a big win for Wicks with Jaden Reed's Jones fracture, the injury he's working through. All right. Think back to tight end now. He made a little pivots or little deviations to get Dontavian Wicks. Now we got to spam tight end for 2 more picks. Pat Freiermuth, not a fun click for me. Not anybody I'm getting a lot of joy out of, but PPR-wise, you can give me some 10-point games, maybe 15 points of Aaron Rodgers. Hits him with some touchdowns. Johnny Smith, I still think is a guy that was undervalued this entire best ball process. But Freiermuth is going to be out there. They're going to run a lot of 12 personnel. Freiermuth, if you're going to make the comp, I don't think it's going to be 1-to-1. But we're now back in an Atlanta situation for Arthur Smith where it's Freiermuth is Kyle Pitts. Jonnu Smith is Jonnu Smith. They're probably going to be like 1-to-1 at tight end. A bigger spike upside for Jonnu Smith in the role would be my guess. Especially with Aaron Rodgers there, like behind the line of scrimmage, Jonnu has to catch and run kind of stuff. I think he's going to score. I would say Jonnu Smith, I would make a similar bet to Debo. I think he scores like 8-10 touchdowns this year. And I think that'd be fine. Freiermuth, I think, is more giving you 4 for 50 with some reliability. Because he's probably the functional wide receiver 2 on this team. Let's give the team a read. 1 more pick left in my 2025 best ball drafting. And you guys as well, appreciate all you guys being here. I will give you my little emotional spiel at the end. We've gotten this done in about an hour and a half, so that's pretty nice. But I'll show you guys some best ball explorer exposure too. I did tease that, and I looked at it in the halfway point of these drafts. But I'll do more of that in a moment. Here we go, position by position. And you guys can yell at me or whatever for all my dead players at running back. Josh Allen, Michael Penix, Cam Ward is the QB room so far on this team. Jahmyr Gibbs, Bucky Irving, J.K. Dobbins, Austin Eckler, Cam Scatterbo, and Joe Mixon. So Joe Mixon, RB6. How the mighty have fallen. Wide receiver, Cortland Sutton, Calvin Ridley, Deebo Samuel, Jacoby Myers, Darnell Mooney, Brandon Ayuk, and Dontavian Wicks. Felt like the top 5 was good enough to get through. Ayuk, I think, was a luxury. Wicks, I like Wicks as a pick. I think Wicks should have come up a lot. Once the moment that we learned about the Jones fracture, Wicks should have taken that Jalen Coker Leggett kind of bump because Wicks is an elite target earner. And if he actually shows he's good, he's going to fuck up that rotation meaningfully. Chickaconquo, Harold Fannin, Pat Freiermuth at tight end, dog shit tight end room, which I love to thrive with. But I'll get a 4th guy and that'll be the room and I can live with it. So I know a lot of you guys would rather see, these guys are all starters. I don't know. This room's fine. Tight end is, if tight end kills me this year, I guess it won't be a shocker, but I feel pretty good about the late tight end bet this year. 25% Jaden this year. How proud am I? I mean, congrats. I only got 16. Jaden's price tag, I think, was tough to take that much because don't want to fade Lamar and Josh Allen. Certainly those guys, heading into week 17, they're all in that range. And, it hurts to a lesser extent. They're all in that range of having 40-point upside. So that was the hard part for me. But, Jaden's one of my high exposed QBs. So I got enough. I got to 16% in BBM, which was one of my goals as well to make sure I kept 2x the field. I've said it on stream enough, but Jaden to me was the opposite of AR. Where last year, AR, I was kind of like not in on the price and just didn't think he did enough rookie year to show, like fantasy-wise he did, but the advanced analytics were just not strong enough. Jaden passes every advanced analytics test I have. The rushing was good. He missed a shitload of tackles, had good red zone work, good deep ball throwing, like accuracy was great. One of the most accurate QBs in football. So I don't think you're going to be in bad shape with the Jaden bet unless he gets hurt, which obviously true of anybody. Very 2 QB build this year to fight against the 3 QB movement. Fair enough. That's definitely a strategy I deployed a lot. I mean, honestly, we could dig in fairly deep to my portfolio with the Best Ball Explorer tool, part of the solver stuff, but it is free if you want to check it out. Look at all your exposures, see what you did here, and look at your best teams as well. You can sort by CLV and stuff like that. Darren Waller comes all the way back. Could take a ceremonial Ben Sinnott, but I actually think we need the points. So Darren Waller back in practice, and he is on this team. So my final team on draft this year, great presenting sponsor, all 42 teams on drafters I have drafted on stream because I just felt like that was a logical thing for me to do this year. Josh Allen, Michael Penix, Cam Ward at QB. At RB, Jahmyr Gibbs, Bucky Irving, J.K. Dobbins, Austin Eckler, Cam Scadaboo, and Joe Mixon. The top 5 is good enough. The top 2 is probably really what's going to tell whether the team thrives or not this year anyway. Cortland Sutton, Calvin Ridley, Deebo Samuel, Jacoby Myers, Darnell Mooney. Top 5, a lot of my favorite guys. If you mixed in Chris Godwin instead of Myers, probably would have looked more like my 5 of my favorite receiver clicks. I guess maybe not so much Sutton. But I got guys I liked here. I feel good about the receiver room, and really the build is the main thing here. Getting those 5 receivers in the top 100 picks and taking Mooney as a top 100 guy, I think is where he should have been all along. Frankly, should have been higher, but the shoulder, I get it. Brandon Ayuk took him for free because the top 5 was good enough to be able to withstand that. And Ontavian Wicks was hanging around in round 18, and I think at this point, he's a much better bet. 4 tight ends with Chika Okonkwo, Harold Fannin, Pat Freiermuth, and Darren Waller. If these late tight end builds do well, whether it's total points format or pod formats this year, I'm going to have a lot of them, so I will be right there with it. And now, one last look at my exposures, as is promised in the title of the video. We did look at the top guys already, so I'll just skim through that, but you saw them already. Tyjae Spears, Bucky Irving, Deebo Samuel. Those guys all above 20%. Under 20%, we have Jatavian Sanders, Darnell Mooney, Rashad Bateman, Zach Ertz, Juwan Jennings. He is back in practice, thank God, but I was taking him high. I was taking him low, took him everywhere. Austin Eckler, got him before the ADP rise late. Keenan Allen, same thing. Took him mostly when he was a free agent. Chris Godwin, took him high, took him low, took too much of him everywhere, but he is a bet. That's one of the biggest. And Josh Palmer as well, took him mostly cheap as a guy I thought was going to have a better role than people thought that he would have, and then got priced up accordingly. QB, Bryce Young is my number 1 guy. Justin Fields, number 2. Cam Ward, number 3. So nobody here too high of an exposure. Jaden is at 13% overall, but is a little bit more for me in the tournaments I thought mattered the most. So for Jaden Daniels, my number 5 guy overall. Bryce Young, number 1. Price tag was too cheap with how he played. Came on so strong at the end of last year. Justin Fields, I just like the situation for him a lot for the Jets. Lions principles coming in. I believe a lot in that bet for the Jets this year, but in particular, Fields, Garrett Wilson, Braylon Allen, Mason Taylor, part of that stack I took a lot as well. But if he hits, he doesn't hit, who knows? Cam Ward, like him a lot. Think he matters a lot to the Tennessee offense and their growth this year. Buying in on him is my Jaden of the year, / my AR, the rookie I believe the most. Stroud, I also like that rookie year too. Jaden Daniels, we talked about. Baker Mayfield, Jared Goff, Caleb, all these guys above the Fields 8%. But really for me, flatter exposures at QB because the stacks, in my opinion, should dictate what you're doing. Some guys as well, like Josh Allen, he's really low for me overall. I don't even know where he was. Actually, no, he's at 8.8%. Never mind. But I'm at over 8% on all the elite QBs, or the 3 elite QBs. And Jalen Hurts, not sure what I got there. Oh, I faded Hurts. Well, that wasn't deliberate. But I did fade Jalen Hurts pretty meaningfully. RB. Tyjae Spears, Bucky Irving, Eckler. Oh, and Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon is one of the ones that I just have to hope he plays this year. I bought the dip. I bought him when he was in the 50s. Just thought he was still a good play. The foot injury obviously made that tough. Kept buying him on the way down. Dollar costed him down. If Joe Mixon doesn't play this year, I don't think I'm fucked. But if he does play this year, I think I'm less fucked. DeAndre Swift, a big bet on him in particular. Took him really cheap early on drafters. 25% exposure to DeAndre Swift for me, my drafters drafts. Marshawn Lloyd, you guys know how I feel about him. I wish he were healthy. That said, the fact he's on IR to start the year, I think might be a good thing. Kept the hype off him a little bit after a play in the preseason that not a lot of RBs in football can do. That 30-plus yard wheel route that he caught. That said, for Marshawn Lloyd, he and Joe Mixon, big risk spots for me. Tyjae Spears, I don't think is a risk spot. Just people really overreacted to the missing a month. I still like all these guys, and they're hurt, and it sucks. Braylon Allen, got him cheap enough across every platform, feeling good about the 13.5% I have. Jalen Warren, same thing. He's got new money now, so that bet looks even better. Brian Robinson, took him because he was a Washington Commander. Now he is not. Still don't think he's dead. The Niners have talked about having both guys in the field and offering some maybe touchdown opportunities for Brian Robinson through that. That said, he's a contingent play. He's a better contingent bet than Garendo. Might get some work, but I'm not sure he even has a partial role. Aaron Jones, Roshan Johnson going the wrong way. Derrick Henry, happy to have 13% of him overall. And I think 2x the field in BBM. At receiver, Deebo Samuel, Darnell Mooney, Rashad Bateman. Deebo, the only one over 20%, though. These other guys all over 2x the field. Juwan Jennings over 2x the field. Keenan Allen, mostly for free, over 2x the field. Chris Godwin over 2x the field. Josh Palmer, Diami Brown. Marvin Mims, just under 2x the field. Same thing for Garrett Wilson, Roma Dunze, Calvin Ridley. And then tight ends, Jatavian Sanders, almost 20%. Nobody above 20% at tight end for me. So just kind of flattening the exposures out was a goal of mine this year, and I think I did it fairly well. Zach Ertz, 18%. Theo Johnson, under 2x the field, but still 15. Juwan Johnson at 14.3. Trey McBride at 14. Chig at 13 and change. John at 13 and change. Likely buying the dip on him a lot. He's getting close to health, so I like that dip. He's at 13% rounded up. Gesicki at 12. Laporta at 11. Brenton Strange and Kyle Pitts at 10. And that's that. How did I draft? I'm just going to show you guys everything, and you could care or not care. Doesn't really matter. My pick tendencies, an underdog, a lot more early RB. 50% of the time I had an RB by round 2. So did go here a good amount. Just a change in approach for me here, building more balanced teams. I saw what the teams were last year. I saw where my flaws were last year. I thought I could do better building more balanced teams while still making sure to get enough receiver capital in. And instead of just spamming receiver early, I did that this year. And I feel good about how it worked for me, but we'll see. Might be a little bit different in BBM. No, exactly the same in BBM. So good. I kept it balanced across everything. On DraftKings, same thing here. About half the time I would have an RB early. On Drafters, same thing here. So a lot of early RB builds for sure. What else? My draft positions. I am not influential on Underdog, though I honestly feel like this is how Underdog would view me and how the industry would view me, where it's like, yeah, you're not a 101 influencer guy, not a 102 really, not a 103. 104, that's about right. Like I'm ahead of all the guys who are influential, but not really in the 5 spot or the 12 spot. But a lot of 104s for me. And in BBM, the most 104s, but pretty flat around that. 104s, 108s, 109s. On DraftKings finds me highly influential. A lot of 101s here. Yeah, as they should. I was really one of the main people doing DraftKings best ball drafts the entire summer through Stochastic. So DraftKings loves my influence. And Drafters, the one I should have the most influence with, only 4 101s here, more in the 3 spot, more in the 6 spot. If I put more entries in, I probably would have gotten there more, but it is what it is. Okay. What else? Best teams, according to CLV. Quick look at that. On Underdog, my best CLV team, I believe, is a Mike Williams team. Oh, no, this one's moved ahead. This one I drafted on 4th of July on holiday for our European friends. On holiday in Florida with Alex's family. I could just say my family now. We got a lot of CLV on this one. 50 spots CLV on Tesla. Mims, 22 spots. Rashid Shaheed. A big CLV on Eckler at 150. Algier, some CLV. This team is actually pretty loaded. A Jaden Goff team. The Goff stack is Laporta and Tesla, so fairly weak Goff stack on that front. But did get Jaden Daniels a pick with McLaurin, rather, pick 30 with Jaden Daniels. So bad time to buy McLaurin. But the team is stacked up. It works. So that's technically my best team. Pre-draft, I honestly didn't put a lot of effort into pre-draft this year because I was pretty frustrated with the Underdog process. My best pre-draft, but it doesn't matter because CLV is not going to look the same. It's going to be, I don't think it's fun to look at pre-draft. But yeah, I don't, it wasn't a focus for me, even though it was my best thing last year. That could be a flaw, but I just mentally couldn't get there to do a lot pre-draft. I only have 50 teams in the big board this year. How many pre-draft Derek? Oh, all right, fine. Pre-draft Derek Carr. I have to go here. You guys fucking asking really specific questions. Carr. I had 10% pre-draft Carr, so 5 teams out of 50. And Mike Williams, 2%. But Carr, I did take pre-draft. In season, I don't think I took any, though. Yeah, Carr, none. Mike Williams, 1 share, I believe. Anyway, yeah, not a lot affected by our 2 retirements. Other drafts, the CLV here, just to see out of curiosity. Yeah, this is the one I was thinking of that has Mike Williams in it. Again, I think my only share of Mike Williams in BBM. But got big CLV on Travion Henderson, who I didn't take a ton of. Jalen Warren, Charbonnet, Dylan Sampson, Herbert, Cam Ward were big values in this room. Christian Kirk bought at a low. Palmer at a low. Mike Williams only lost 20 spots of CLV by retiring. That's a positive for Big Mike. On DraftKings, my best team, according to CLV, is this one. Drafted June 5th. Not all my DraftKings drafts are on stream, but the vast majority of them are. So I hope that if I have any final teams, they were on stream. Bo Nix, Cam Ward, Jackson Dart, Kyron, Kenneth Walker. Huge losses on CLV for Brian Robinson and Tyjae. But Eckler makes it up a little bit for at least one of the guys. Big gain on CLV and Keenan Allen. Big loss for Jalen. These are my teams, by the way, where it's like, oh, you got this shit right. Drafted some guys at real lows. Mims, Keenan Allen, a relative low. Umanor, got him before a rise. Jalen Noel, though, going the wrong way. Robinson the wrong way. Tyjae the wrong way, like hugely. Weird builds. Teams, though, the big thing for me is that going through a lot of my teams, and actually I'll show you guys my worst one. A lot of the worst ones I don't feel are dead still, but the worst ones do hurt a little. And this one drafted end of June. Mahomes, Purdy, Bijan Robinson, Achane, then huge CLV losses on Ramondre, Garendo, a little bit of one on Rico Dowdle. Then we gained a ton back on Jerome Ford, lost a ton on Rashee Rice, which I didn't do that often at the early ADPs, thankfully. Lost a ton on Juwan Jennings, lost a ton on Hollywood Brown, lost a ton on Calvin Austin, lost an ungodly amount on Jonnu Smith, ton on Juwan Johnson. The point being, the team is like a Rice-worthy double. Zay Flowers, Juwan Jennings, Matthew Golden got him before his ADP come up. Romeo Dobbs as an ADP riser as well got him. Like the team is still valid. It's just, it looks bad because of the guys that we lost CLV on. So that's something, if you go through Best Ball Explorer's tool, don't self-flagellate because you have teams like this. Because if you actually click through and look at them, they're not as bad as they might seem, even though this team lost 190 spots of ADP. Some of the other ones might be worse, like this one at number 2. This one, ton of CLV lost on Mixon, buying the dip on him. Rashad White went down a good amount for that hamstring injury. Chris Godwin, Dontavian Wicks, so that's probably going the other way now. This team as well lost a ton of CLV, but it's all Joe Mixon. And it still has Derrick Henry, it still has Devon Achane, still has Rashad White, still has Ray Davis. So like it can still get there. Like I think that's the main thing you notice when you go through a portfolio of teams. Drafters, my best team, or actually, it's my best team before we look at my worst. God, this is a real bad one on drafters. Holy shit. This one for end of May. Jaden Baker Mayfield, Joe Mixon, Caleb Johnson, Cam Scadaboo. Joe Mixon lost 126 spots of ADP. That's rough. Scadaboo, Rashad White, Justice Hill, Malik Neighbors, Chris Godwin, Jalen McMillan. Lost a lot of CLV on McMillan and Godwin here. But the team still has Neighbors, JSN, Godwin, Keon Coleman. Huge positive CLV on him on drafters. Marvin Mims, not a dead team. Even my teams that look dead are not dead. So I think for me, that's the takeaway I would have in the positive side for this year. Shout out Charlie here, former top finisher in BBM. And actually, Charlie, fun fact for you, I actually did fill out a fantasy best ball lineup, and you're on it because you're the only 6K guy I knew who actually had won a lot of money before. I believe in the manifesto, Leone said real-time ADP value is more important than closing line. Okay. mean, I have a lot of those. I know I soaked up a lot of real-time ADP value. So we were looking at the closing line value. I mean, my real-time ones should almost all be universally. Yeah, I only have 2 teams with negative real-time value. Here on DraftKings, I have 5 teams with negative real-time value. On Underdog, and I have too many teams on Underdog. Let's put it's the most per row. Well, that makes me feel better then. Not a lot of teams with negative real-time value because I don't get too reachy. So I think my portfolio I'm happy with. I think that's really the big thing for me here. Again, the RB part of things, having my highest exposure to guys like Marshawn Lloyd, Joe Mixon, Tyjae Spears. It's going to be a scary first month. Brian Robson, another guy I thought would be good early on, and now he's probably more of a late season play if he's ever a play at all. I think that's really the biggest thing that concerns me in my portfolio. A lot of Chris Godwin as well. I think it'd be another one that gives me the vaguest bit of fear for the same reasons. But I bought guys I think are good, and I didn't really deviate from that. And that includes the rookies as well. I didn't take rookies. I just thought were just guys. I took guys I thought were good. Genty, didn't take him much. 6.5%. I got him enough. Hampton, 7%. I thought these guys were appropriately priced. Henderson, I did not think was appropriately priced. I could be wrong about that. Thought he was appropriately priced on DraftKings where I got 7% of it. On Underdog, I just didn't see it. Harvey, 1.3%. This is the one you guys are going to like the least. The one the industry will like the least, but I will, if I'm right, Bashal Tootin, 2.5%. Giddens, 2.1%. Who else do we got? Taj Brooks, 0.4%. I only took the rookies I thought were credible at being great year one. And that wasn't a lot of them. So these are my stands for the year. I hope you have good ones for yourself. I will also tell you guys, shout out Charlie here. Yes, you were my pick. I mean, to be fair, Charlie, there weren't a lot of names I recognized down there, but I didn't know how you were so cheap because you're very smart. So I hope that gives you some joy, and I appreciate you, and I hope you do well in BBM. Hope you maxed it out. I assumed you were as well. That was the other part of it. I assumed you were maxing out BBM. But shout out Charlie, shout out all you guys here. Look, it's been a fun best ball draft process. It's been a weird year for me, to be totally honest, with some of the weird shit on Twitter earlier in the year, people threatening me and me somehow being the one who gets canceled for it. But either way, I do appreciate all you guys who've watched the channel this year, because really, if you watched the channel, you are my most ride or die groups overall. You are the guys that I appreciate, that I show up and do the work for here, that I try to prepare as much as I can for. Like, yeah, I'm doing it for my own gambling, as I always say here, but I never want to let you guys down with bad takes, with bad info, with bad guidance. Even when I tell you things that I think I'm right about, I tell you how I could be wrong. And I hope that's what I give you as a channel that you don't get elsewhere. But if you do get value out of this video or this channel overall, make sure you subscribe down below. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure to leave a comment. It all goes a long way for me here. Just one guy showing you my gambling. And that continues on in NFL DFS season. Going to continue on in NBA season as well on the @SplashPlayBets channel. But the work goes on here for me. So your support goes a long way. Joining the Discord goes a long way. $5 to join there if you want my data sheets for the NFL in season and a premium video I do every week explaining them. You get that for $5 as well by joining down below. That will stay the same price as it was previously. And also, make sure to support drafters. They've been a great partner for me doing the kind of content that I wanted to do. Even when I initially agreed to new terms with Underdog, it was kind of a weird thing with them maybe not wanting me to do as many drafts on other platforms. For me, the whole thing with best ball is getting in action as much as you want on each platform. If I win on Underdog, it does the most for me. So I put the most entries in an Underdog. That said, getting action on DraftKings, on drafters was a big part of what I wanted to do. And drafters supported me on that quest. So if you got any value out of this stuff we did all summer, make sure to deposit on drafters. Use that promo code SPLASH. If you are a new user, promo code SPLASH gets a $100 deposit match. If you're an existing user, promo code SPLASH-RELOAD20 gets you a 20% deposit match. So if you are existing, use the Splash Reload 20. If you're new, use promo code SPLASH and do 10 drafts on drafters if you haven't done any. That's really what I'd recommend to get the most EV out of it. You'll get an entry for free with that, and you'll get a shot at that 500K with the overlay and, at the very least, reduced rake on drafters. So check that out. And shout out to all you guys that have been a part of the channel. I think it's the main thing here. Join the Discord, get in the community there if you can. But there's a lot of work coming up for NFL DFS, and I'm strapped in and ready to do it starting this Thursday. So come back for that. And shout out to all you guys who do hang out every stream. Appreciate you, Helen Eckler. Appreciate you, Devin. Appreciate you, Chunk. Appreciate you, Charlie. Appreciate everybody in the chat, but all you guys who are regulars as well, especially. You guys help me keep the show moving and fills you with joy. And apologies for the shitty audio today as well, but that was StreamYard's fault, not mine. I'll see you guys again soon. Enjoy your days. Good luck. Happy best ball season 2025. Let's try to do it again in 2026 if we can. And I'll see you guys soon. Enjoy your days. Good luck. And bye-bye. See you on Thursday. Showdowns coming up. Bye.